welcome back to weekend vlog number 8. This weekend we've actually got 4 days. So we do Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday this week.
We've got loads of jobs going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So number one
is wiring, because we need to do that before we can finish the insulation.
So I got this from eBay and I kind of messed up because it's only 6 mil. So it's really small, but the 1.5 mil cables do fit in this. So I rushed to Wix and I bought these, which are 20 mil conduits, but they only come in 5 meter lengths. So I got like 30 meters of them, and I'll probably go and I'll probably have to buy some more. But yeah, I already started running some of them. So we'll have a 240 volt socket here, 230 volt for the induction hob.
We can go through all of that once it's finished, where we've got stuff. So meanwhile, while Laz went to Wix, I had been doing this. I'm still too short. I need my step. We removed the shelf as per last week. I think it was last week. And then I coated it with this. Instead of using any of the insulation we've got, I think it's a 6 mil closed back foam.
Closed cell foam.
Cell closed foam.
Well, we got this spongy stuff. We'll put a link in the description.
It's also a sound deadener as well, and we only had one bit on here, so hoping that's going to do a bit more. So I used 10 sheets of that actually, because it's quite an awkward shape because you've got the niggly bits over that corner, and then I just coated it in the Thermowrap vapor barrier and then taped it up, and then we are going to carpet it, but not yet. We need to carpet above here as well. But I need to wait for Laz to finish the wiring so I can do it all in one strip and do that and the back doors at the same time.
Alright, so Cass has the job of doing more insulation stuff.
Yeah, so I just started the doors. So I'm just going to do this. Oh gosh, oh my goodness. Stop! I just started the doors to get out of Laz's way while he's in here. And I just started to stuff these, but keeping a gap for this.
Yeah, there's meant to be a button here. Oh well, this is the button that you can press.
So the door.
And then you can open the door more. So you need to be careful not to cover that bit.
And don't do what I did and stick my finger in it and move it.
Yeah, definitely don't do that.
So then for these bits, we're going to use the template that was already in the van, to use 25 mil Kingspan.
And then here we just built up this little bit around the light in case we need to swap them, and we also have a access hatch, but I think you can get to these from the outside. I'll need to double check. And then my job is to do the wiring and stuff. So I got some 2.5 mil 3-core Arctic blue for the 240 230 volt stuff. I got this, which is 2-core flex 1.5 mil for most of the 12 volt stuff. This conduit, I bought it by accident. I wanted to get the biggest stuff, but I didn't realize, but it's fine. We can use the 1.5 mil cable in this, and then the 230, the blue Arctic blue stuff will fit in this fixed stuff. So yeah, gonna start running all these conduits with cables through them. So yeah, gonna crack on with this, and Cass is gonna keep cracking on with the insulation.
Yes, sir. So I've just finished doing the back left door with the Thermowrap moisture barrier stuff. I've cut out these little holes for the number plate light, just so we can get to it if we need to, and then I cut a little hole here.
You normally have a button, a plastic button here. I think the newer vans have it, but ours don't have it, so I'll have to get one. And when you press it, it allows you to open the door further. I don't want to open it because of the brick but it's just like a stopper. So if you don't press it, it only opens about 90 degrees or 100 degrees or something like that. But if you press it, it will open not 180, but I think it opens a bit more.
Yeah. So we just cut out a hole for now,
In
and then
case you
cut
ever
out
need
for
to use
these.
it.
And then for this one, we're now gonna do. I should just need to cut out the hole for the door handle, and then just like the little noogies at the bottom and the top. Oh, and then obviously the hole for that.
So wiring wise, started running the cables up this pillar and then along there in the conduits, so they come all the way around. We got a 12 volt LED here, and then I ran the fan, which will come here. I'm about to label it, so that it's gonna get connected to there. And then I'm working my way from the top down, and I'm taking these stickers off as I do them. I'm now running the conduit for the fridge. For the fridge, I'm going to use a different cable, not the 1.5. I'm going to use 4.5 mil. So I'm still waiting for that to arrive. Yeah, this is where it's at so far.
Good morning, welcome back to Friday of this weekend's vlog. Last night we finished off doing the 2 back doors. Lau's got everything fed through cable wise for this side, except one. I don't know, he talked about this yesterday. I'm sure he'll go into a bit more detail later. But we needed to figure out the size of the cable for the battery to battery charger, just because it's a bit of a pain to run through. So I think he's going to feed through a conduit today, so you've got to go across, around the door and in. I started to insulate and foil barrier the wheel arches yesterday. I've done one, so I'll crack on with this one just this morning. And then I also stuffed some more recycled plastic into the doors. We didn't film any of it because it was getting quite late yesterday. So today's plan is for Laz to get sorted on this side, I think, doing all the wiring, because I'm pretty sure he's done this except for the battery to battery one. I am going to crack on with the insulation on this side. Anyway, enough rambling, and I'm gonna get cracking. So I have finished doing the king span along this wall, as Laz had finished all the wires. The next step is to put the recycled plastic in, but we can't do that until we've got our vertical battens in, because we're going to shove it behind. Obviously king span we wanted in bigger chunks, so we put that in first. Now we're going to put the battens in, to then shove some behind here, and then put some more horizontal ones in at the top, and then get the verticals in, so we can put the recycled plastic here and here, and probably a thin layer just behind here. Yeah, so we're going to do these ones first. They're only these two are the same. They kind of slightly differ as they go along, but only by a couple of mil, so it shouldn't be too bad to do. So we're going to get those in. I'll just show you how I done the window. So I just curved off the 2 bits of king span here, and then just vapor barried it around, and then left a gap underneath where we're going to put the framing. So we are going to do a curved frame, so it may take a little while to do, but we prefer that look than a square one. So I've just curved this off and left the gap around the whole window to get the framing in. And then Laz is going to work on this side, getting in all of the conduits and wires, and then help me when I finish cutting, do the little holes, whatever they're called. What's it called? The pocket jig?
Pocket hole
Pocket hole
jig.
Yeah.
Had a little practice session with it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna crack on with more wiring. Woo!
Right, so I've been in the workshop getting on with the pocket hole jig for the vertical batten. So I've done the 5 that were up against the left hand side wall to start with, so I'm just going to go screw those in. Meanwhile, Lazzy Boy has been getting on with the right side wiring, which has proven obviously it's going to be a bit more difficult because we've got to go up around the door, so around this bit, all the way around there, down, and then across, down, and across to there. So that's for where we're having a 240 volt plug socket, so it's a bit of a pain.
I'm starting with the hardest one first, the longest one. So yeah, making progress.
yeah, I'm gonna get on with screwing these in if I can. So they're all done, so then we can start doing the last horizontal one on the top, and then somehow figure out what we're doing down there. But yeah.
Finished. Well, we're finished for this week, and we're just gonna walk you through what we've done. It's basically what, 2 days that we didn't record bits.
So the last time we've updated you was Friday evening. I started doing the battens and Laz was getting on with more wiring.
Yeah, just to put things in perspective, because the time lapse is not going to tell you how much work we've done.
Yeah,
it's about 2 days of 6-7 hours of work to get all of this done. So yeah.
So I ended on doing the verticals for these, so got those in, then we framed the window. On this side I've done it rounded, but I am going to chisel this out. Yeah, just because when we frame it, we're going to frame it in a square and then angle it and then build up the round bit. So as you see on this side, I've squared it off. So then our framing will sit square and then we can curve it round. We had to create a little wedge here just because it's not then in line with this side, because it's wider here and then comes in here. The only horizontals we're going to have are just over the wheel arches, so we're not going to end up having any across here.
But yeah, it's quite interesting. We spent a lot of time figuring out where to put the battens. So we had to nail the shower dimensions a bit more, how big the shower tray is going to be and how big area we're going to have for the toilet, how big this cupboard is going to be exactly. And yeah, so that's why, you know, at this bit we had to do a lot of planning, thinking ahead. Same thing in here. We're going to have the kitchen, but we're gonna have, so the bed ends there, and then we're gonna have a little pillar that comes up that kind of ends the kitchen. So yeah, that's the batten situation, and then the ceiling we've already shown you guys, so that's the same thing. All right, wiring man, electrician Laz. Got my electrician diploma from YouTube. It's not a degree, it's a diploma. If I was gonna do this again and I wanted advice before I started this, get all you need to at this point. If you have a vague idea of what you want and where you want it before you do your wiring, if you're gonna run it behind stuff like we are, you should have a wiring diagram. You should know all of your appliances, how much power they use, what amps, how far each of your wires is going to be for voltage drop, and so on. If none of this make any sense to you, you need to do more electrical research and nail this down, otherwise this is going to be super painful. But basically all the electrical is going to end up in here, our inverter and everything, so that's what the fuse box and everything is going to be under this bench. So all the wires run back to here, and I'll just give you a quick walkthrough of where each thing is going. Everything is coming up this panel, this pillar, from this pillar or this main pillar. So the kitchen side is coming through here, and we have a 240 volt socket here. We have an electrical drawer 12 volt USB, because we have an electrical drawer here, and then we have a 12 volt kitchen USB, which is going to sit up at this pillar that we were talking about, where we can charge our phones when we're in bed and so on. Then we have a LED light at the top, and this LED light will run all the way along the kitchen, and we'll be able to turn it on or off with a remote. In this beam, if you keep going, we have a fridge 12 volt, and then we have another 230 volt, which is for the dedicated to the induction cooktop that we'll have somewhere along here. And then on the other side we have everything coming up again all the way around, and most of the stuff is coming in this beam. We have another LED light and USB potentially that's going to sit under the shelf that we'll have at the top, and then coming all the way across, most of all this stuff runs down this beam across through here, and they all end up here. So we have a lot of stuff here because we're gonna have the heater here, and this is like gonna be the secondary office sort of area. So this seat will rotate around and we can both sit here. We'll have a table here. We have two 230 volts because one of them is dedicated to the heater, and then we have another 12 volt 4.5 mil dedicated to the heater. And then these two, we have a 230 volt and we have another 12 volt. The 230 volt is there to charge stuff or run office equipment, or potentially we'll probably have a monitor or TV mounted to the side of the shower. So that's what this is for. And we have another 12 volt, which is going to be 12 volt sockets to charge phones or whatever else we need to charge when we're up, or whoever's up in this office area. So we just have one more 12 volt, that's for the toilet fan, and that's about it. And then on the ceiling we have everything coming up. Oh well, it's actually one of these. Instead of running it through this main column, which is getting pretty crowded, I'm just running it up here, through there, behind the insulation, and then it comes into the Celotex, and we just cut a little groove in it, and then we foil taped over it. And they're all gonna be chained together, and they're gonna be touch turn-ons. So I just left a little hoop on each one. So I just left a little hoop here, and then when I'm installing the lights, I'm just gonna cut it, connect one end to the light, and then connect the other end. And then it keeps coming around, comes into the shower, because we'll have a light here. This light most likely is gonna be on a switch, because I don't think a touch is gonna work in the shower. Maybe it will, I need to look more into it. So I might have to extend this cable to a switch when I sort out this light. And then it comes around. We have another loop here to add a light in here. And it keeps coming around up to here, where we're going to have the end light. And that's that. And then the only other thing that's in the ceiling is the fan, which just kind of comes along here, up here, and then goes to this main thing all the way down to the bottom. And that's it. That's all the wiring really. So the only thing that we haven't run, but it's because the wire is coming. So I have two conduits here, which is for the starter battery, and they come all the way up, all the way around, up in here to the front. So currently they end here, and they'll come down here through there all the way to our starter battery. So that will be for the battery to battery charger. I just had to get a bigger cable. And the only other thing that we haven't done yet is, if you remember, we have one of those default Citroen lights here that turn on and off, and we also have one at the back, which is this. So what we're gonna do, instead of just completely cutting them off and not using them, I'm gonna extend the positive and the negative of this down to this bench, and the positive and the negative of this are gonna route all the way to the front, down here, and it's gonna come across to here. So if you remember, before I explained, we're gonna have a little step that goes all the way along to a seating area. So what I'm gonna do is that light is gonna be mounted into that step here, and also at the back in the little bench seating area, which is from this one, we're gonna mount that probably this way. So that just means that when we open the doors, they'll turn on, or we can use these from the 12 volt of the van, or if you forget to leave a door on, then we'll be able to see, because these lights will turn on, so it'll be easy to see. So yeah, might as well reuse this. We'll probably replace the bulbs with the LED bulbs, and it should work really well. So I just need to extend these, which I'll probably do in the evening, and when my wire comes, we'll run the starter battery all the way around. Whoop.
And that's it for this week. Join us next week, where we continue to work on the buttons for the framing of the walls, and Laz starts to play around with the framing on the top of the van for the solar panels. I also start to foam and insulate around the windows and the doors, so we can start to carpet them hopefully next week. Thanks again for watching, and see you next week.